Hello, this is Hot Indonesia, and welcome to all of you watching us in Vientiane. I'm Dalton Tanonaka in Jakarta, and here is this week's HI Hot List. Ultimate price. Prosecutors call for the death penalty in a corruption case. We ask business leader Arwin Rasyid if that is just too harsh. Status report. The first kids are getting vaccinated. Protocols are strong. Will we enter the new year with the coronavirus behind us? And beating boredom. How those entering Indonesia are spending their mandatory COVID-19 quarantine days. Here are my co-hosts. Sandrina Malakiano is Deputy CEO of Polmark Indonesia from her home in South Tangerang, and Millie Luquito, CEO of the Mobiliati Group, on the road in Vancouver, Canada. Hot topic number one, ultimate price. It's been only done once before. Prosecutors asking for the death penalty in a non-violent corruption case. This time, suspect Heru Hidayat is accused of embezzling more than $800 million from the military insurance fund. He is already serving a life sentence for a similar conviction last October. The government says it is seeking a sense of justice for the public. Ladies, our discussion today is not about capital punishment. It's about the appropriateness of the penalty. And I say executing someone does not change the situation. Make him repay the money, maybe slap additional fines, monetary fines, and keep him in prison. That, I believe, is a harsher punishment than death. Millie, to you first. What do you say?
I think I'm with you, Dalton. I agree that capital punishment, I think, is way too harsh. And we also have to remember our government tends to be inconsistent, and there might be cherry picking also in not only the people, by prosecuting people like Heru, but can the government handle the case altogether? Not only handle the case, but the media, for example. Can our government do it very wisely? I don't know. I think, I believe capital punishment is way too harsh.
Okay. All right. Okay. I wanted a brief thought before we get to our guest. Sandrina, your quick position?
Lifetime imprisonment, returning the money, additional penalties for me are appropriate for big-scale corruption cases, Dalton. I'm using the word appropriate here on purpose because it is more humane. Giving a chance to the villain or the corruptor to change, become another person, a better one, while he or she or they are held behind prison bars. I believe that what needs to be done by the government right now to give a deterrent effect to corruptors is not, as Millie said, not by choosing one or two cases and give a death sentence just to prove that they're doing something. What should be done is repair and improve the legal system in corruption cases from top to bottom, upstream to mainstream. And we've seen that huge cases that involve high-rank state officials, people in power, and they remain untouched. So no cherry picking, please.
Okay, very good point. Now, we went out to the streets to get a small sample of what some Indonesians think about a corruption case getting the death sentence.
Menurut saya sih ya bagus, biar lebih ada rasa adilnya aja sih.
Setuju sih, karena ya itu kan uang kita ya, uang rakyat, dari rakyat untuk rakyat, tapi malah dimakan sama koruptor.
Kayaknya bukan hak kita aja untuk menentukan hidup matinya seseorang.
Koruptor ini kan suka bertindak seenaknya ya, tapi tidak diberikan hukuman yang berat. Takutnya akan terjadi perulangan seperti yang sekarang saat ini. Maka dari itu saya sangat setuju dengan hukuman mati bagi koruptor.
Now, the point of tough sentences is also to deter future crimes. Arwin Rasyid is one of the country's most respected business leaders, previously leading CIMB Niaga and Telkom. Arwin, thank you very much for your time. What was your immediate reaction to the calling for the death penalty in this Asabri case?
Yes, in my view, I think this is totally not appropriate, especially at this time and age. This is not the time, to practice, punishment in the form of a death sentence, especially relating to corruption. We all agree corruption is bad. And the scale of corruption varies. This is a very, very big scale corruption, correct. But giving a death sentence is not going to deter anything. I mean, there'll be many, many more people like a Heru Hidayat around. And why should we give a death sentence to somebody where for him, to be involved in a serious corruption case, he can never do it alone. So it's also not fair from the beginning. It's a different story. For example, there is a big robbery of a bank, and then many people died. They stole money. Then probably, the punishment is a crime. But this is a guy. He is definitely, you can say he's a very devious businessman. He's trying to make money. But the fact of the matter is that he was able to pull this through because he was getting support, working together with some other people from Asabri. It can never happen alone. So this has to do with the weaknesses, in the bureaucracy, in the entities that requires, another episode of discussion. What to do about that? But if you ask me, totally it's not appropriate at all.
So Arwin, from the business community standpoint, this would not make people think twice, I better not do something like that because I might get the death penalty.
No, not at all. Now, I think, it's going to be a very big challenge, for the attorney's office, to prosecutors to propose this, because if they don't get what they want, then, this is just a drama. It's just like a drama. So why bring it up in the first place? Don't do that. It just doesn't fit the crime.
Okay, Millie, question for Arwin.
Yes, so when you say this is inappropriate, what kind of a punishment should someone like Heru and his team actually get?
Well, in all wrongdoings that we do, then the penalty will be go to jail. Now, how long? What is a maximum jail sentence? 20 years, 25 years? Go to jail, and during his jail time, a person can change. We have seen that from studying about this kind of happenings around the world. Just like what Sanjrina said, and then give him time to pay back the money. Now, does that mean that other people will going to be more daring to do that? Not necessarily. It's more about fixing the system. It's not about the people will always be there. Crooks will always be there. It is the system that matters. Our system is weak, to be frank about it.
That's a very good point. The judicial system is another topic of discussion, which we'll do in the future. Sandrine, a question for Arwin?
I agree completely, Pa Arwin. One of the most important issues in eradicating corruption in Indonesia these last couple of years has been what we call the weakening of law and corruption eradication practices. From a business perspective, how do you see these law weakening symptoms, and what's your opinion on what's been happening to our nation's Corruption Eradication Commission, or KPK?
I am concerned because the fact of the matter also shows that there have been cases that went to the surface of the KPK officers, were involved in the corruption itself. So it goes back to the person. You can have a great system, but if you have the wrong person, it doesn't work. You can have, the best person, around, but if the system is weak, it doesn't work also. So this is a process. It's a journey. And they say the journey, more or less, ties, with the rising level of the economic standard, rising income per capita. As more people become literate, more people become educated, more people become law-abiding, more people become mindful, then, the intensity itself should come down. But let's not pretend that we are already very developed, we have to face the fact that we are all, in this journey together, we are all learning. We are all trying to be better. So the system itself, should sort of evolve itself, in line with how the society evolves. It should be together. We cannot follow China. China is a different way of doing things.
Well, yeah, and remember that it's not just developing countries that have the death penalty. Major developed countries, Japan, the U.S., China, they all have the death penalty. So it's not about us being a developing country. Okay, Arwin, to wrap this up now, in your opinion, would this ultimate punishment do its job and that is, besides punishing the suspect, to prevent someone from committing a major crime?
Not at all. It will not. Like I said, there'll be many more people like Heru around, if not now and later on. It's something very common in every society. Give a death sentence, to drugs, to people who are involved in drugs, because it destroys society.
Yeah. Okay. And violent crimes. I don't have a problem with that. Okay.
Exploded a bank and killed many people. That's another story.
Sure. Okay. Business leader Arwin Rasyid, thank you very much for your thoughts, your input, and your time. Hot Indo will continue shortly with Status Report. Will we say goodbye to the pandemic in 2022?
Saya ingin mengumumkan kerjasama dengan The Indonesia Channel. Saya mendorong semua entitas untuk bergabung dalam upaya ini dengan mempromosikan produk dan layanan mereka di platform digital yang unik ini.
Welcome to Foodiepedia. Every week in this program, I will introduce you to one of Indonesia's fabulous food items. Yummy. Beautiful. Now, I'm ready to cook. Let's go to the kitchen. It's done. Let's meet to eat.
Foodiepedia on the Indonesia Channel.
I'm Trần Minh Ngân of VCCTV Net Việt in Hanoi.
I'm Thairat Thomya of Thailand's Thairat TV in Bangkok.
I'm Monica Sambodet from the National Television of Cambodia in Phnom Penh.
I'm Raymond Go of Malaysia's TV3 in Kuala Lumpur.
I'm Glenda Chong of Singapore's Channel News Asia.
I'm Raisa Chantami of the Indonesia Channel at the ASEAN Secretariat in Jakarta.
This is your weekly look into the dynamic Southeast Asia region.
ASEAN Today on the Indonesia Channel. The best of Bali, only on the Indonesia Channel.
You are watching Hot Indonesia with Sandrina, Millie, and me. Here's hot topic number 2, status report. Children from 6 to 11 years old began getting COVID-19 vaccination shots this week. The government approved the program to get more Indonesians protected, with nearly 50% of the population fully vaccinated. Southeast Asia's biggest country has recorded 4.25 million cases in this pandemic, with 144,000 deaths. Now, it seems we have things under control, ladies. The daily case count is way down. Everyone I see, without exception actually, is masked. Sandrina, is this the calm before the holiday season storm?
We ought to be proud, Dalton, as the pandemic management and handling in Indonesia continues to improve. Nevertheless, we should not take this situation for granted and should not let our guards down. No matter what, we must continue to maintain and follow all health protocols, especially now as we are approaching the holiday season. It is now really hard to find seats for flights to Yogyakarta, Bali. This is a personal experience. When we tried to purchase tickets for my family's end of year a trip to Bali. Almost all flights were already full and we were put on a long waiting list. So I hope that there will be no COVID storm after the holidays. Who could forget what happened after last Eid al-Fitri? So to prevent this from happening, people must really and strictly adhere to all health protocols. Even though it seems that now we could relax more and join gatherings with others, participate in events, do not get carried away. Make sure that you sanitize your hands, increase your immune system, eat well. Do not go out if you are feeling under the weather.
Yeah, I think we've learned our lesson, I believe so. So I'm thinking positive. Now, Millie, you are in British Columbia. Now, Canada, by comparison, has had less than 2 million cases with 30,000 deaths. Does the emergency mentality still exist there?
Yes, very much so. I wanted to share with with the audience. In Canada, they are very strict with masking, and they always adhere by health protocol. I'm really impressed by the health standard and protocols that they execute here, and I'm hoping that in Indonesia also we must really still be disciplined with all the health protocols.
I see your postings on social media, Millie. I mean, when you go out to eat and stuff, I see you're still masked in the restaurants?
Yes, very much so. And only those vaccinated people can go in the restaurant and can dine in. Only vaccinated people. Otherwise, no. Only for takeouts. So they are really very strict here.
Yeah, and that's why the count is relatively low. The government says, on the good news side, free booster shots. Free booster shots are coming in January, while gathering and mobility restrictions are still in place over the holidays. Sanjini, I think it's time we begin to feel positive about the new year.
Definitely. This upcoming new year, the year 2022, must indeed be the year of transformation from pandemic to endemic. Then after that, COVID-19 will become like the influenza virus. We have learned how to deal with and how to beat this virus. There are several important lessons in our terrifying lives episode throughout 2020 and 2021. Dalton, first of all, no matter what, leadership is very crucial and central. When we were facing critical situations, immediate actions from the government will determine whether we will be able to quickly overcome the crisis, or the other way around, will the crisis continue to grow larger? In the beginning of this pandemic, we did not see prompt and adequate response nor actions from the government. Hence, the crisis grew bigger and bigger. Fortunately now, this has changed significantly and the pandemic has become far more manageable. Secondly, the discipline of the people. This is as crucial and central. So it's like two sides of the same coin. One side, the government. The other side is where we are, the people. When one side is not present, the coin has no value. Third, law enforcement. And fourth, Indonesia still has to seriously repair this governance and leadership ethics. We still provide opportunities for conflicts of interests involving public officials. This was one of the serious issues we saw arise, the commercialization of pandemic management in Indonesia.
Yeah, and that's actually four sides to the coin, so that's two coins, Sanjina. Millie, you hadn't been out of the country for a long time. What do you see and feel perhaps that's different than what we've been experiencing here in Indonesia?
It's again very impressive that when I took off, I was inside the airplane. Everybody, they were masked all the way from Jakarta to Tokyo and then to Vancouver. So it seems I'm very proud at humanity actually for being able to come together and to face this pandemic. And like Sandrina said, soon I'm sure this pandemic will become endemic because we all work hand in hand together. I'm proud of humanity.
Yeah, but you know what I don't understand, lady, and we can discuss this maybe next week. The people who are anti-maskers or anti-vaxxers, they say it's my right, but it's not your right to infect me. So I don't get that movement. Luckily, there's none of that here in Indonesia, or if there is, I haven't heard about it. It's mainly in other countries. So that is where we are right now. Okay, more Hot Indo is ahead. Beating boredom. What's some of the things people are doing in quarantine to stay sane?
I'm Caitlin Turner, and welcome to Yoga Bliss. Dropping your hands to the mat, just step it back and out and up to the sky. Up through your fingertips. Reach your right hand back behind your head. Let your hands separate forward and then start.
Yoga Bliss, only on the Indonesia channel.
Playlist.
Semuanya perasaan, rasa cinta ku persembahkan untukmu di dalam lubuk hatiku. Tolong lihat aku dan jawab pertanyaanku.
You are watching Hot Indonesia from Jakarta. Here's hot topic number 3, beating boredom. Waiting to get out of the airport is frustrating enough. Then it's into 10 days of mandatory quarantine under COVID-19 protocols. How to pass the time? In the past, Australian Open tennis players got workouts by hitting into their curtains. Here in Jakarta, professional golfer Rory He hung a towel over a club and hit foam balls to keep his swing sharp. He also did Zoom coaching sessions. Now, a few weeks back, my quarantine session was only 3 days, if you remember, so all I did was sleep and wait for my meals. Millie, you will be back in January. Maybe the 10 days will be reduced. How are you planning to spend your time?
Can you please give me a visual of how this Rory he or your friend spends quarantine hitting golf balls?
Okay, yeah, you didn't see it. You couldn't see it from there, but he's just set up a thing where he's hitting into a towel. So you got to be pretty accurate. Yeah.
I need to see that to get inspired.
We can help you set that up. But okay, besides maybe trying to set up golf, how are you going to spend 10 days, Millie?
I don't know. I'm going to wait it out, until the government changes its mind again and quarantine is reduced to 2 days or 3 days. Then I come back home.
Oh, you could wait forever. I mean, you got to think of some plan. I mean, books, whatever, right?
Or hitting golf.
Okay. You're
In the room. Yeah.
one track minded. Okay, Sandrina, you had 7 days quarantine, if I remember. So, were you bored or did you have enough to do?
Well, At first, all three of us, me, my husband, and our youngest daughter, arrived at the hotel, thinking that, oh, we will not have any problems, we'll have good food, snacks. We know that this hotel has very good restaurants. That's why we chose to undergo quarantine there. And there will be many TV channels, we have Netflix. So 7 nights or 7 days would pass pretty fast. But guess what? The first 3 days, that was fine. But starting from the 4th onwards, time started to move really slow. No problem with food or movie options, but after doing the exact same thing for several days, then you just get bored. But fortunately, we had to do the show, so that was a good thing. I had to prepare for Hot Indonesia, and I have always been kind of a stay-home kind of person, so I was fine, but it was really challenging for my daughter. Can you imagine? Must be careful not to end up eating endlessly.
And you had company. Now, I think Millie's coming back alone, right? Millie? Oh, no, maybe your husband, right?
Yes.
Okay,
My husband, also my cousin.
Okay, so 3 of you in one room. I mean, that
No, 2 rooms.
passes the time, but I was alone, but I was only 3 days. Yeah, so I'm not complaining. Quick recommendations from people who have had experience. Yeah, bring a couple good books or make sure you read some ebooks and bring some snacks because you can't have anything brought into the room. So bring the snacks you want to eat in your suitcase so you can munch. Okay, it is feedback time now. Bagus said this when we asked if Indonesian could be an official regional language. The answer is yes. Prioritize Bahasa Indonesia. And Andik had this comment after we talked about Iko Uwais in the Expendables 4 movie. He's Indonesia's Jet Li. Here's how to contact us with your feedback. Email at hotindo@theindonesiachannel.com or comment through our Hot Indonesia or Indonesia Channel Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube pages. Final words, Sandrina.
Last week, we commemorated a very important day, the Human Rights Day, namely on the 10th of December. So I think this is still the right moment for us to remind each other that the most basic human rights is the right to live. For almost 2 years, we have been haunted by this pandemic. Anyone could discreetly have the potential to become a human rights violator. Yes, if we lack discipline in maintaining health protocols when interacting with others, we could become a threat, endanger other people's lives, including our loved ones. So let us always remember, by adhering to health protocols, we become human rights warriors, because by doing so, we respect other people's rights to live.
Final words, Millie from Canada.
Yeah, as I said earlier, I arrived in Vancouver 4 days ago, and I was totally amazed at how everybody, including children, small children, and even babies, they are all wearing masks. And the way they respect you and respect your space and physical distancing is something to see and something to learn from on how Canadians and hopefully all people around the world are respecting each other's health protocol and adhering to very strict health protocol.
In my final words, you saw what golfer Rory was doing to pass the time in quarantine. It's also to stay sharp for the next Asian Tour event on January 15th in Singapore. Rory remains the only Indonesian to ever win a Tour championship, doing it in India 2 years ago. We hope he and other Indonesians bring home more trophies in 2022. And that is Hot Indonesia for this week. For Sandrina Malakiano and Millie Lukito, I'm Dalton Tanonaka. Thank you very much for watching. Please join us again next time.